Why I'm not quitting Final Fantasy XIV is grounded in the realities of the game. First off, Drippy is amazing and so cute and the best. I just love Drippy. Regardless of where I go, I'm always going to be a fan of Drippy. Second is the world is simply gorgeous, especially for an MMORPG. The night sky is just awesome. The monsters and raid bosses and dungeons, it's all visually stunning. Occult Crescent continues the trend. Obviously, this also applies to the music and ambience and visual effects. It's all quite beautiful. And obviously from there, the character designs, the glamour systems, how you can customize your character is just phenomenal. We have a lot on offer here, and it's actually great. I'd say the one thing that we don't have is like a true dragon race, like what World of Warcraft has with like the Drakthir. But aside from that, the depth that we have with the dyes and everything is fantastic. I'd say Final Fantasy XIV gives you a pretty broad canvas to paint your character the way that you want to have it. Third is incredibly near and dear to my heart, and you know that's the truth because I complain about job homogenization, lack of pet jobs, lack of damage over time effects, and these are statements that I stand by 100%. But let's think for a second. Do you know what game has had proven pet jobs and damage over time effect rotations? Final Fantasy XIV. Some of you need to give your head a really solid shake and remember the foundations that this game is built upon. Scholar, a healer, and again, I don't think we should go fully back to this, but they had like a full-ass 6 damage over time effects that it juggled. Yes, Scholar, the healer. Then Bane to spread some of the dots into AoE, Shadow Flare AoE Dome, Summoner until Endwalker had a full-on pet system. That means in Shadowbringers during the massive WoW Exodus, Summoner had pets. I'm an OG player, and who else remembers the item called the Keeper's Hymn? I'm gonna even make sure I have this in footage. As someone who has played Scholar and Summoner almost exclusively as my mains, and they totally were interchangeably my mains, I loved them both. Like, the first video on this channel that actually got me traction was my Summoner guide, which was like an hour and 18 minutes. But look at my retainers. I have like over 180 of this item because I was constantly swapping mind and intelligence attributes based on what I played. So, to people who incessantly bitch in my comments saying how much I hate the game, don't tell me that it's not possible to do damage over time effects in Final Fantasy XIV. Don't tell me it's impossible to do pets in Final Fantasy XIV. Even in Endwalker, Scholar's Fairy, the only job that you actually see me play as its last remaining pet job in Final Fantasy XIV. But in Endwalker, the Scholar's pet commands became drastically more responsive. Like if we look at through Futures Rerun Ultimate, during Mirror, for instance, just one of many instances, the Mit sheet asks us to time very specifically and split our constellation casts from our fairy. Have I ever had an issue with doing that? No, not at all, actually. And so that's why I'm talking about it, because we have had these playstyles, and it was my playstyle, and I know the development team of Final Fantasy XIV can do it. I mean, we kind of literally had it. So Summoner back in Shadowbringers with the pet was also, remember, if you look back at the logs, it was a top tier DPS. Summoner with pets was a top tier DPS. People's memory seems really short these days, but guess who wouldn't be well, me, the person, one of the people who mained and loved it and basically played Summoner religiously. Back then, there was nobody calling Summoner Gimp. Summoner was very, very strong. Flawless? No. But in today's game would be very much fine. But why is this a big, huge point for me is because I keep raising this, and it's a huge positive for Final Fantasy XIV in my eyes. And why, unlike seemingly so many of you that comment saying how much I hate the game, I haven't given up on job and class design and to the homogenization devil yet. Not today, Satan. I raise these things as concerns because I know they can do better for the pet playstyle and dot playstyles. My playstyles. Pets are already more responsive, and if the debuff cap is an issue with the ridiculous revenue Final Fantasy XIV generates, as we saw a month ago in the Square Enix financial report, I'm so sorry. Then fix the fucking debuff cap. Like, come on. We literally used to have these playstyles. Come on. Fourth is that the combat content in Dawntrail is excellent. Before I get ahead of myself, do I think we need more of it? Obviously. But the combat content, as limited as we do have it, it is awesome. I love the first raid tier. The second raid tier's 5th boss, for example, was oozing style and charisma and uniqueness. What a strange little frog thing. It was just amazing. And then M6S with its ads phase, it was such an amazing design shift, and it's something that I fully support, that I literally have like 3 fucking videos on my channel complimenting the absolute shizzle out of that fight, because it deserves it. The ads advanced phase, downright amazing. Future's Rerun Ultimate was nothing short of a complete delight to prog and clear, and I did that shit fully from start to finish to re-clears, all in Party Finder. No help, no YouTuber privilege, no bullshit. I just play this game like I would any other Final Fantasy XIV player. I actively reject collaborations, actually. Have you noticed collaborations? No, because I actively reject them, because I never want to be disconnected from the standard experience. I think that as soon as I do that, I don't want to be disconnected from you guys. That's going to lead into the fifth point, which I find Party Finder and the similar systems in it in Final Fantasy XIV to be another blessing that Final Fantasy XIV has. I feel free to do content when I want, and I don't feel trapped or shacked down like I do with like 20 people in World of Warcraft raiding, where you frankly do really basically need a guild and a Raider IO score, and to like suck the guild master's toes and be like, oh yes sir, like swear I'm not all for that. Like, you guys can do that in World of Warcraft. Please skip me with that. I'm not gonna be someone's little sub bitch. With one exception, but no one's taken that spot yet. But basically, you need a guild, you need a Raider IR score, you need to be flogged and held down by like 19 other people, and I'll say it this way: as the generation fatigued by job application hoops to leap through a set of basically job application interviews for World of Warcraft guilds, I am fascinated by the hypocrisy there. Final Fantasy XIV, I don't need to deal with that bullshit here. Thank God. People will say, oh, tomestone.gg. Okay, well, you know what? That's really for people who are actually bullshitting about prog points. As someone who has PF this tier, and this is why I make sure that I don't use YouTuber privilege and I don't fucking invoke it. Like, there's people in game who literally were like, oh my god, wait, you have a fucking channel? I'm like, yeah, well, I just don't freaking talk about it. It's just like, I have never in any PF group have been kicked ever, but I also don't prog point lie. So if you're a prog point liar, okay, maybe you should be afraid. But if you're not, well, I don't know what you're afraid of. So to me, the freedom, the PF system, not needing to suck a guild leader's toes and be like, oh yes, I love you so much. Huge perk of Final Fantasy XIV. I don't do that shit. Seventh point is I like the housing system. I like that there are RP venues. I like the G-Post system. I like the G-Posing community. I like that all of these non-combat oriented subcultures of Final Fantasy XIV exist. Yes! Even that ridiculous billboard that was and remains to this day hilarious to me. That's a part of Final Fantasy XIV culture that I would not want to go without. Eighth point is that Final Fantasy XIV doesn't waste my time finding teleport portals to this and that, and whereas what, if I want to just go somewhere, I just teleport there. I enjoy how clean, cut, dry it is. Same thing for raiding. I know very few people excited to clear the trash between raid bosses in World of Warcraft, and that's for people who do Mythic Raid. Don't know many that are that excited about the trash. They're like, okay, let's get to the real show. No frills, no BS, which in Final Fantasy XIV makes the new Fork Tower entry seem a little bit more bizarre in Final Fantasy XIV, honestly, because I'm listing this as a perk. Fork Tower WTF. Outside of it though, like, the convenience factor is huge. I love it. Ninth point is that I like that Final Fantasy XIV does a diversity of content types. Now, are they perfect? No. But I like that we do have things like exploration zones. I like that we have the gold saucer. I like that we have housing, exploration zones, even the deep dungeons, even though they aren't really content for me because, well, Scholar spams broil and refer to point 3. We're not gonna get into it again here. Fuck, it's so boring. I hate spamming broil. But my point is, are these content types perfect? No. And that's a great amount of criticism that you have heard from me. Like, Occult Crescent is a perfect no. However, I feel the ingredients are there to bake the most beautiful, amazing Occult Crescent cake there. Just think of a giant cake with like a moon on it. Like, haha, here's the Occult Crescent cake. I'll eat it. Especially now that I'm bulking at the gym. But the cake was only half baked, leaving me in a state where I love so many parts of it. Oh, just get that friggin' cake batter in my mouth, and then it's like, the cake batter isn't cooked, which leaves me frankly frustrated, more so, if I'm quite honest, than if the cake was just a huge giant pile of dog shit. I'd care less, honestly, if that was the case, but there's so much potential there in Occult Crescent with Phantom Jobs and the systems in there that I'm left, like, in the cake batter smacking it, being like, God dang it, why isn't this cooked? We need to raise those positive points, and so this is raises a positive point, because like the parts are there and it's like, grr, bake it more. Perhaps that leads beautifully into my 10th point, which is when I raise criticism, it is because I love this game, I love the developers, I love this community. I raise that, as you can see, I made here like $5 from a video, which is just under 5,000 views. Like, I'm Canadian, so that's also $5 Canadian, so much less than USD, and I don't want to hear I'm grifting. If I was wanting to make money, frankly, I wouldn't even be doing the MMORPG space. There are, I think, hopefully obvious to anyone who's paying attention, much more active areas in terms of creating content. Like, instead, when I raise criticism, it's because I genuinely care. Like, do I need to really cite my stacks of Keepers of the Hymn or Keeper's Hymn to change my Scholar Summoner attribute points again? Like, I hope not. I hope that that is very self-evident. Like, I've been here for a decade. I have no intention to quit, so all of you butthurt bottoms whinging at me, saying, oh, blah, 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 put on some aloe vera and shut the fuck up, because there's no chance I'm quitting. You made up some crazy-ass theory. You guys are the ones out of line. You're the ones out of bounds, and I'm gonna say it twice, because it's the second time I have to say it. Don't make me say it fucking thrice. I'm not quitting Final Fantasy XIV. I have survived Gordius. I have survived 1.0 and the Calamity. I've survived Raban, Savage, and Stormblood. I've survived the Shadowbringers content drought. I have survived worse, and I'd be damned if I get shaken by a little disturbance in the Force. You guys might be tourists new around here. Well, hey there, welcome. I hope you packed a damn umbrella, bitch. Am I worried? Yeah. I stand behind what I say. I'm pretty fucking consistent. If there's an inconsistency somewhere other than my speech, then let me know. I'd be happy to clarify it. But my point is, I'm worried, yeah. But it is way too fucking early to call it. The fat bear hasn't even begun singing yet, and that bear is fat as fuck. Damn, I need to get myself a bear. Applicants, please let me know. Oh my god, did I really? Yeah, I did. The audacity of this bitch.